He is not who he says he is. Don't trust him.
What? Who?
That's a lie.
I don't understand.
I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who'd get tested by her own man. But there I was, 30 years old, sitting in my living room when my phone buzzed with a message from a number I didn't recognize. The message was simple. Hey, beautiful, I've been watching you for a while. Would love to take you out sometime. Now, let me back up and tell you how I got here. Let me tell you who I really am and who I thought Derek was. My name is Simone Davis, and for 2 years, I'd been building what I thought was a solid relationship with Derek Matthews. We met at a community fundraiser in Atlanta, one of those black tie events where everybody's networking and looking good while doing good. He walked up to me at the bar, confident but not cocky, and said something that made me laugh. I can't even remember what it was now, but I remember thinking, finally, a man who doesn't lead with some tired line. Derek was everything on paper. Finance degree from Morehouse. Good job at an investment firm downtown. Owned his condo in Buckhead. Dressed well, talked well, treated my mama with respect when I finally introduced them after 6 months. He's a keeper, Mama said, squeezing my hand over Sunday dinner. Don't let this one get away. I should have known something was off earlier. Little things, you know? The way he'd check my phone when he thought I wasn't looking. How he'd get quiet when I mentioned male coworkers. The questions about where I'd been, who I'd talked to, what I'd been doing, always casual, always with a smile, but always there. But I told myself that's just how men are when they really care. When they're invested. Trust me, I know better now. Before I continue, let me just say, if you're relating to this story already, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Comment below if you've ever ignored red flags because you wanted something to work. And trust me, you're going to want to hear how this turns out. So that message came through on a Tuesday evening. Derek was working late, or so he said. I was home in my sweatpants, finishing up some reports for work, half watching a rerun of Insecure. I stared at that message for a long minute. Here's the thing about being a 30-year-old black woman in Atlanta. You get approached. It happens. But something about this felt different. The timing was weird. The phrasing was too deliberate. I didn't respond. I screenshotted it and texted Derek, "Look what I just got. These men stay trying it." He called me immediately. "You okay, baby?" His voice was warm, concerned. What did they say? I read him the message. Probably some scammer. He said smoothly, "Block the number. You know how these dudes are." "Yeah, you're right. That's my girl. I'll be home in about an hour. Want me to pick up Thai food?" "Sounds good." We hung up, and I blocked the number like he suggested. But then, 3 days later, another message. Different number. "I noticed you at Lenox Mall last Saturday. You were wearing that blue dress. Stunning." My stomach dropped. That was true. I had been at Lenox on Saturday. I had worn my blue maxi dress, the one with the split up the side. I'd gone with my best friend, Keisha, to find a gift for her sister's baby shower. I called Keisha immediately. "Girl, did you notice anybody following us at the mall?" "What? No." "Why?" I told her about the messages. "Simone, that's creepy as hell. You need to tell Derek. You need to call the police." "I'm probably overreacting." "No, you're not. Somebody's watching you. That's stalker behavior." But I didn't call the police. I told Derek instead. His reaction was perfect. Concerned, protective, angry on my behalf. "I'm coming over right now," he said. "Don't open the door for anybody." He showed up 30 minutes later with flowers and his overnight bag. He held me, told me everything would be okay, promised he'd keep me safe. That night, lying in bed beside him, I felt grateful, protected, loved. I had no idea. The messages kept coming. Different numbers, always blocked after I'd show Derek, but they kept finding new ways to reach me. Then, on a Friday evening, I got a call instead of a text. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Hello. Simone, please don't hang up." The voice was deep, gentle, unfamiliar. "My name is Isaiah. I need to talk to you. In person. It's important. I don't know you, and I'm not meeting some stranger who's been harassing me. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm not harassing you. I'm trying to help you. He paused, and I heard him take a breath. "I'm Derek's best friend. His childhood best friend. And I need to tell you something about him." My hand tightened on the phone. "If you're Derek's friend, why haven't I met you?" "That's complicated, but that's part of what I need to explain. Please, just coffee, somewhere public. You can bring a friend if you want. I just need 30 minutes. There was something in his voice, not desperation exactly, but something that sounded like regret. Like, wait, why should I believe you? Ask Derek about me. Tonight. Ask him about Isaiah Carter. Ask him why we don't talk anymore. And after you hear what he says, if you still want to meet me, I'll be at breakfast at Barney's tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'll be alone, at a table near the window. If you don't show, I'll understand." He hung up before I could respond. I sat there on my couch, phone in my hand, mind racing. When Derek came over that night with takeout from our favorite Jamaican spot, I watched him carefully as he unpacked the containers, talking about his day, laughing about something his coworker said. "Baby, you okay? You're quiet." "I got another call today." His jaw tightened. "What did they say?" He said his name was Isaiah Carter. Said, "He's your childhood best friend." Said he needed to talk to me about you. I watched Derek's face change. It was subtle. Most people wouldn't have caught it. But I'd spent 2 years studying this man's expressions, learning to read his moods. His smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. "Isaiah," he said slowly. "Wow, haven't heard that name in a minute. So you do know him?" "Yeah, we grew up together. Best friends since we were like 8 years old. But we had a falling out about a year ago. Haven't spoken since." "What happened?" Derek shook his head, reaching for his water. "Honestly, he changed. Got jealous of my success, started acting weird around my girlfriends. Made some accusations that weren't true. I had to cut him off for my own peace." "What kind of accusations?" "Doesn't matter. Ancient history." He squeezed my hand. "Whatever he's trying to tell you, it's probably some bitter ex-friend trying to mess up what we have. Don't engage with him. Simone, please. For us." I nodded slowly, but something in my gut twisted. That night, after Derek fell asleep beside me, I lay awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling. 2 versions of the same story. 2 men I didn't fully know. And me, in the middle, trying to figure out which one was telling the truth. Y'all, if you're invested in this story, make sure you like this video. Drop a comment and tell me, would you meet with Isaiah or trust Derek? Because what I did next changed everything. I showed up at breakfast at Barney's at 9:55 a.m. I didn't tell Derek. I didn't tell Keisha. I just went. The restaurant was busy with the Saturday brunch crowd, filled with Black families, couples, groups of friends laughing over mimosas and chicken and waffles. I spotted him immediately. Isaiah Carter sat at a table by the window, just like he said. He was nursing a cup of coffee, watching the door. When he saw me, he didn't smile or wave. He just nodded, a small gesture of acknowledgement. I walked over slowly, my purse clutched tight against my side. Up close, I could see the resemblance to the stories Derek had told me about his childhood. I'd seen one old photo. Derek kept it in a box in his closet, 2 young boys with their arms around each other's shoulders, grinning at the camera. Isaiah still had the same deep-set eyes, but now they carried something heavier. He stood when I reached the table. "Thank you for coming," he said quietly. "I know this is strange. That's an understatement. He gestured to the chair across from him. Please. I sat, but I didn't relax. A waitress came by. I ordered coffee black. Needed to keep my head clear. So, I said once she left, talk. Isaiah wrapped both hands around his mug, staring down into it like it held answers. I don't know where to start. Start with why you've been messaging me from different numbers. Start with why you're going behind your supposed best friend's back. He looked up at me then, and I saw pain in his eyes. Real pain. Because Derek isn't who you think he is, he said, and I couldn't watch him destroy another good woman without at least trying to warn her. Derek said you got jealous, said you made false accusations. I know what he told you. That's what he tells everyone. Isaiah leaned back in his chair. Simone, everything that's been happening, those messages, those calls, Derek set all of it up. He asked me to do it. It's a test. The coffee arrived. I wrapped my hands around the warm mug, needing something to hold on to. A test, I repeated flatly. A loyalty test. He wanted to see if you'd cheat on him, if you'd respond to attention from another man. He does this to every woman he dates. And he asked me to be the bait this time, because Isaiah's voice dropped. Because I've always helped him before. For years, I played along. I'd flirt with his girlfriends, see if they bite, report back to him. And every single time, he'd use whatever happened or didn't happen as a reason to end things. To tell everyone she was disloyal, she couldn't be trusted, she wasn't good enough. I felt cold despite the warm coffee in my hands. You're lying. I wish I was. He pulled out his phone, scrolled for a moment, then turned it to face me. These are his messages to me about you. I read them. Derek's name at the top of the screen. Message after message, laying out the plan, telling Isaiah what to say, when to reach out, how to approach me. My vision blurred. Why would he do this? Control. Insecurity. I don't know anymore. Maybe I never did. Isaiah pulled his phone back, his jaw tight. But I knew you didn't deserve it. None of them did, but especially not you. You don't even know me. I know enough. He met my eyes. I know you volunteer at the community center every other Saturday. I know you take care of your mama, visit her every Sunday without fail. I know you turned down a job offer in New York because you didn't want to leave your family. Derek talks about you, Simone. When he's not plotting these tests, when he's just being himself, he talks about how good you are, how real you are. And that's exactly why he's so paranoid that you'll leave him. I sat there in that restaurant, the sounds of laughter and clinking silverware fading into background noise, trying to process what Isaiah was telling me. How long have you two been doing this? Since college. Maybe before. Isaiah rubbed his face with both hands. We were roommates at Moore House. He had this girlfriend, Jasmine. Sweet girl, pre-med, had her whole life planned out. One day Derek got it in his head that she was too friendly with her study partner. So he asked me to message her, pretend to be interested. She shut me down immediately, didn't even respond. But that wasn't enough for Derek. He twisted it, said the fact that she didn't tell him about the message meant she was hiding something. Broke up with her over it. She was devastated. And you just went along with it. I was 20 years old and stupid. He was my brother. We grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same schools, had each other's backs through everything. When your brother asks you for help, you help him. Or, at least, that's what I told myself. The bitterness in his voice was sharp enough to cut, but it kept happening, he continued. Different women, same pattern. Nicole, Tasha, Brianna, Monique. Every relationship, every woman who got close to him, he'd find a way to test her. And I kept being his accomplice because... He paused, shook his head. Because I loved him like a brother. Because I thought eventually he'd grow out of it. Because I was a coward. What changed? You did. I looked up sharply. Isaiah's gaze was steady, unflinching. I met you once, he said. You don't remember, but I was at that fundraiser where you and Derek met. I saw him approach you, saw you laugh at whatever he said, and I thought, finally, someone who might be good for him. Then later, when he started dating you, seriously talking about you constantly, I thought maybe this was it. Maybe you were the one who'd make him realize he didn't need these games. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Instead, 6 months in, he started planning your test, told me he needed to be sure about you before things got too serious, before he invested too much. That's when I knew he was never going to change. So you agreed to do it anyway? No. Isaiah met my eyes again. I told him I wouldn't. I told him what he was doing was sick, that he needed therapy, not another test. We got into it. Bad. He said some things, I said some things. And that was it. Friendship over. Year of silence. Then why? Because 3 weeks ago, he called me. First time in 12 months. Apologized for everything. Said he'd been going to therapy, working on himself, that he wanted to make amends. Asked if we could meet up, talk things through. Like an idiot, I believed him. Isaiah's hands tightened around his mug. We met for drinks. It was good at first, like old times. Then he brought you up, started talking about how perfect you were, how much he loved you, how he was thinking about proposing. My breath caught. But there was one thing bothering him, Isaiah continued, his voice heavy. He needed to be absolutely sure you were the one. He needed to know, without a doubt, that you'd never betray him. And would I do him this one last favor? For old time's sake? For the brotherhood we used to have? And you said yes. I said I'd think about it. Then I went home and couldn't sleep for 3 days straight. He leaned forward. Simone, I've watched this man destroy good women for over a decade. I've helped him do it. I've been complicit in breaking hearts and ending relationships that might have been beautiful if he'd just trusted them. And every time, I told myself I was being a good friend. I told myself his trauma wasn't my responsibility to fix. But the truth is, I was just being a coward. So this is your redemption arc. I couldn't keep the edge out of my voice. No, there's no redemption for what I've done, but I could at least try to stop it from happening again. I could at least tell you the truth before you wasted more years on a man who's never going to trust you, no matter what you do. If you're still with me, hit that like button, because this is where things get even more complicated. Subscribe if you want to see how this ends, because trust me, you're not ready. I ordered food I didn't eat. Isaiah talked, and I listened. He told me about Brianna, who Derek dated for 3 years before testing her and finding an excuse to leave when she wanted to get married. About Monique, who caught on to the test and confronted Derek, only to be gaslit so thoroughly she started questioning her own sanity. About Tasha, who passed every test but was never good enough anyway. Did any of them know about you? I asked. Did any of them know you were working with him? A few figured it out eventually, but by then, Derek had already convinced them, and everyone else, that they were the problem, that they were paranoid or crazy or disloyal. Why are you telling me this now? Why not before? Because you didn't know me. I was nobody to you. If I'd approached you earlier, you would have told Derek immediately, and he would have spun it the same way he spun everything else. I needed you to see the messages first, to wonder, to question. I needed you to have enough doubt that you'd actually listen when I explained. He was right. If he'd approached me cold, I would have dismissed him as some jealous ex-friend exactly like Derek described. What do you want from me? I asked. Nothing. I just wanted you to know the truth. What you do with it is up to you. I looked at him across that table, this man I didn't know, who'd just blown my entire relationship apart. Did you ever tell him no? Before this, did you ever refuse to help him? Once. With Nicole. She was special, I thought. I told him he didn't need to test her. He did it anyway, used another friend instead. They broke up 6 months later over something completely unrelated, but Derek swears to this day it was because she failed his test. He's sick. Yeah. Isaiah's voice was quiet. Yeah, he is. And I loved him like a brother, but I couldn't watch him destroy you. There it was. The truth laid bare between us. I stood up, leaving cash on the table for my untouched food and coffee. Thank you, I said, for telling me. Simone, don't. Just don't. I walked out of that restaurant into the bright Atlanta sunshine, and I felt like I was seeing the world clearly for the first time in 2 years. I didn't go home. I couldn't face the apartment I'd spent so much time in with Derek, the space we'd built together with shared furniture and compromised decorating choices. Instead, I drove to my mama's house in East Point. She was in her garden when I pulled up, wearing her wide-brimmed sun hat and gloves, tending to her tomatoes and peppers. She looked up when she heard my car door, and whatever she saw on my face made her drop her tools immediately. Baby girl, what happened? I told her everything. We sat on her back porch, the same porch where I'd spent countless summer evenings as a child, and I unloaded all of it. The messages, the meeting, Isaiah's confession, all of it. Mama listened without interrupting, her face growing harder with each detail. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. What are you going to do? She finally asked. I don't know. Yes, you do. You're just afraid to do it. She was right. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I just didn't want to believe it yet. Mama, what if Isaiah's lying? What if this is all some elaborate scheme to break us up? To what end? What does he gain? I don't know. Maybe he wants me for himself. Does he? I thought about the way Isaiah had looked at me in the restaurant. There was care there, maybe even affection, but not the kind that wanted something from me. No, I admitted. Then you have your answer. But I needed more than Isaiah's word. I needed proof. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I went to Derek's place when I knew he'd be at his weekly poker game with his colleagues. I had a key. He'd given it to me 8 months into our relationship, a symbol of trust and commitment. The irony wasn't lost on me. His condo was neat as always. Derek was particular about his space. Everything in its place, no clutter allowed. I'd always found it charming, a sign of maturity and organization. Now it felt sterile, controlled. I didn't know what I was looking for exactly. I started with his desk in the bedroom, the one where he paid bills and worked from home sometimes. Nothing unusual. Bank statements, old utility bills, work documents. Then I remembered the box. The one in his closet, the one with old photos and mementos from his childhood. The one where I'd seen that picture of him and Isaiah years ago. I pulled it down from the top shelf, settled on his bedroom floor, and opened it. Photos of young Derek with his family, with friends, with Isaiah in various stages of growing up. Baseball trophies, old report cards, birthday cards from his grandmother who'd passed when he was 15. And underneath all of it, a leather journal. My hands shook as I opened it. The first entry was dated 5 years ago. College graduation. Jasmine and I broke up today. She failed the test. Isaiah said she didn't respond to his messages, but I know she must have thought about it. Must have been tempted. Better to end it now than wait until she actually cheats. I flipped forward. Nicole wants to meet my family. Says we're serious enough now. But I need to be sure first. Called Marcus to help with the test, this time, since Isaiah's being difficult about it. Further still, Tasha passed the test, but something still feels off. She's too perfect. Nobody's that perfect. There has to be something she's hiding. Page after page of relationships, tests, justifications. Women's names I recognized from his past, dissected and analyzed and ultimately discarded. Then I found the entry about me. Met someone new today. Simone. She's different from the others. Smart, beautiful, grounded. Exactly the kind of woman I've been looking for. Going to take my time with this one. Build something real before testing her. Want to make sure she's invested before I find out if she's trustworthy. My vision blurred with tears, but I kept reading. 6 months with Simone. Introduced her to Mom. She was perfect as always, but I'm starting to worry. She's friendly with everyone. Too friendly, maybe. That guy at the fundraiser last month was clearly into her, and she didn't shut him down fast enough. Need to start planning the test soon. Called Isaiah today. Time to mend fences. Need him for Simone's test. He's always been the best at this. Knows exactly how to approach women, how to make them feel seen and valued. If Simone can resist Isaiah, she can resist anyone. Isaiah's being stubborn. Says he won't help anymore. Called me sick, like he has any room to talk. He's been helping me for years. He doesn't understand what it's like to love someone and not know if they'll betray you. Doesn't understand the fear. But I'll convince him. I always do. The last entry was dated 2 weeks ago. Isaiah finally agreed. Took some convincing, but the brother speech always works. He'll reach out to Simone this week. By the end of the month, I'll know for sure if she's the one. If she passes, I'll propose. If she doesn't, well, better to know now. I closed the journal with shaking hands. There it was. All the proof I needed in his own handwriting. I took photos of every relevant page with my phone. Then I put everything back exactly as I found it, grabbed my things, and left. I should have confronted Derek immediately, should have called him, met him somewhere public, laid out everything I knew. But I didn't. Instead, I spent 3 days sitting with it, thinking, planning. I called in sick to work, ignored Derek's texts asking if I was okay, stayed at my mama's house, and thought about every moment of our 2-year relationship through this new lens. How many times had he accused me of being too friendly with a male coworker? How many times had he questioned where I was, who I was with, what I was doing? How many times had I adjusted my behavior, made myself smaller, more careful, more conscious of how things might look, all because I thought he just cared about me? He'd been testing me all along. In small ways, constant ways. The loyalty test with Isaiah was just the final exam. On the 3rd day, I texted Isaiah. I found his journal. You were telling the truth about everything. He responded within minutes. I'm sorry. Don't be. Thank you for telling me. One question. Why did you really agree to do it? You said you told him no at first. The response took longer this time, because I wanted one last chance to tell him to his face that what he was doing was wrong, and because I wanted to warn you before he destroyed you the way he destroyed the others. I told myself that if I agreed to do the test, I could control how it went. I could protect you from the worst of it. Did you mean what you said about caring about me? Another long pause. Yes, I've watched Derek date you for 2 years. I've heard him talk about you, seen the photos he shows around, and I've thought every single time that you deserved so much better than what he was giving you. So when he asked me to test you, I decided I was done being complicit. I was done watching him ruin good women. I need to see you again. In person. When? Today. Same place, same time? I'll be there. Y'all, I know you're probably screaming at me right now. Maybe you think I'm being dumb, meeting Isaiah again. Maybe you think I should just cut them both off and move on. Drop a comment and let me know what you would do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now, because this story's about to take a turn. Isaiah was already there when I arrived, same table, same position. But this time when I sat down, I had my phone in my hand, photos of the journal entries pulled up. I need you to tell me everything, I said without preamble. Every woman, every test, every detail you remember. I need to know the full scope of what he's done. Isaiah looked at the photos, then at me. Why? Because I'm not just going to walk away from him. I'm going to make sure every woman he's hurt knows the truth. I'm going to make sure he can't do this to anyone else. Something shifted in Isaiah's expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition. Okay, he said. Okay. We spent 4 hours in that restaurant. Isaiah talked, and I took notes. Names, dates, details. The progression of Derek's behavior over the years, how it had started as simple insecurity and evolved into this calculated pattern of manipulation and control. I watched the color drain from his face. What? Not like that. He just reached out to me, started messaging me, calling me, said he'd been watching me, that he was interested. Derek's hand tightened on his wine glass. Who? I don't know. Different numbers, always blocked. But he knew things about me, Derek, where I'd been, what I'd worn. It scared me at first, but then I paused, looked down. Then I realized maybe I was flattered. Simone. I didn't respond. I want you to know that. I didn't encourage him or anything, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about it. His face was a mask of controlled fury. Why are you telling me this now? Because I love you. Because honesty is important in a relationship. Because I met his eyes. Because I need to know if you can forgive me for even considering it. I saw it then, the calculation behind his eyes. The satisfaction. The vindication. He thought I was confessing to failing his test. Who was it? He asked quietly. The man messaging you? I told you, I don't know. He never said. Simone. His voice was gentle now, understanding. The voice he probably used with all the others. Baby, I need you to be completely honest with me. Did you meet him? No. I swear, I never met him. I just thought about what it would be like if I did. He nodded slowly, and I could see him building the narrative in his head. The story he'd tell friends, family, anyone who asked why we broke up. She admitted she was tempted by another man. I tried to forgive her, but I couldn't get past the betrayal. I appreciate your honesty. He said, finally, so you forgive me? I need time to think about it. This is a lot to process. Of course, I understand. We finished the meal in near silence. He drove me home, walked me to my door, kissed my forehead with the careful tenderness of a man already planning his exit. I'll call you tomorrow, he said. We'll talk through this. Okay. I watched him drive away, then pulled out my phone. He took the bait. I texted the group chat. Phase 2 starts now. Derek called the next morning, as promised. Can we meet? For coffee? Sure. When? This afternoon. Say, 2 o'clock at Java Point. I'll be there. I arrived early, secured a table near the back. Keisha and Brianna were already there, separate tables, laptops open, looking like regular customers working remotely. Monique was positioned at the counter, ostensibly waiting for her order. Derek arrived precisely at 2, dressed casually but still put together. He saw me and walked over, his expression serious but kind. He was going to let me down easy. I realized. Play the understanding but hurt boyfriend who just couldn't get past this betrayal. Hey, he said, sitting down across from me. Hey, I've been thinking a lot about what you told me last night. Me too. Derek, I'm so sorry. He held up a hand. Let me finish. I've been thinking, and I realize that relationships are built on trust, complete trust, and what you told me last night shows that Maybe we don't have that foundation. What are you saying? I'm saying I think we need to take a break. Maybe some time apart will help us both figure out what we really want. There it was. The script he'd used before, probably word for word. I took a breath, let my eyes fill with tears. Is this about Isaiah? He went still. What? Your friend Isaiah. Is this because of him? I don't. Why would you bring him up? Because he's the one who was messaging me, Derek. He told me everything. The mask slipped, just for a second, but I saw it, the panic, the calculation, the scrambling to regain control. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I pulled out my phone, opened the photos of his journal entries. I found these in your condo 3 weeks ago when you were at poker night. I've read every word. His eyes went to the phone screen, then back to my face. You went through my things. You sent your best friend to test my loyalty. I think we're past worrying about privacy. Simone, how many women, Derek? How many relationships have you destroyed with these tests? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain it to me. Explain Jasmine, Nicole, Tasha, Brianna, Monique, Keisha. Explain all of them. At Keisha's name, I saw him understand that this was bigger than he thought. I don't have to explain anything to you. You're right. You don't. I stood up, but you're going to want to explain it to them. I gestured, and Keisha and Brianna closed their laptops, stood up, walked over to our table. Monique put down her coffee and joined them. Derek looked at each of them, recognition dawning. What is this? This, Keisha said coldly, is the reckoning you've been avoiding for years. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what happened next? Y'all, I wish I could have recorded his face. Drop a comment if you think he deserved this. You had no right. Derek started. No right. Brianna cut him off. You tested every single one of us. Manipulated us. Gaslit us when we figured it out. Destroyed our reputations when we tried to tell the truth. And you think we had no right. I never. You did. Monique pulled out her phone. I'm a journalist, Derek. I've spent the last 2 weeks building a comprehensive timeline of your behavior. Interviews with your ex-girlfriends, documentation of your patterns, testimony from friends who witnessed your manipulation. It's all here. You can't publish that. I'll sue you for defamation. It's not defamation if it's true, and I have proof. We all do. Derek looked at me, and for the first time, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Simone, please, whatever they've told you, whatever they think happened. I have your journal, Derek, your own words in your own handwriting, documenting every test, every manipulation, every lie. There's no talking your way out of this. He sat back down heavily. What do you want? I want you to get help, I said quietly. Real help. Therapy. Not for a month or two, but seriously, long term. I want you to understand what you've done and why it's wrong. And if I don't, then we go public with everything. Monique said, every document, every testimony, every piece of evidence. We make sure everyone in your professional and personal life knows exactly who you are. This is blackmail. No, Keisha said, this is accountability. We left him sitting there in that coffee shop alone with his choices. The next few weeks were chaotic. Derek did go to therapy. Whether it was genuine or just damage control, I didn't know and didn't particularly care. He also reached out to each of his ex-girlfriends individually, apologizing. Some accepted it. Some told him exactly where he could go. Keisha Wallace started a blog about her experience, not naming Derek directly, but discussing the broader patterns of manipulation and control in relationships. It went viral, reaching thousands of women who'd experienced similar situations. Brianna used her social media platform to talk about trust issues and toxic behaviors in dating, helping others recognize red flags. Monique wrote an article, not about Derek specifically, but about the broader phenomenon of loyalty tests and emotional manipulation in relationships. It was published in a major outlet and sparked necessary conversations. As for me, I took time to heal, went to therapy myself to process everything, spent more time with my mama, with real friends, reconnected with parts of myself I'd let fade during those 2 years with Derek. And Isaiah and I met for coffee a few weeks after everything went down. "How are you doing?" he asked. "Better. Taking it day by day." "I'm glad. You deserve better than what he gave you." "So do you. He wasn't a good friend to you, either." Isaiah nodded slowly. "I stayed loyal to him longer than I should have. Enabled behaviors I knew were wrong because I didn't want to believe my brother could be that person. That's on me. You made it right in the end. That matters." "Does it?" "Yeah," I said. "It does." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. "What are you going to do now?" Isaiah asked. "Keep living. Keep learning. Keep being me without apology or adjustment." "That sounds good. What about you?" "Same, I guess. Maybe make some better choices about who I call brother." We both smiled at that. Over the following months, Isaiah and I became friends. Real friends built on honesty and mutual respect. Sometimes we'd grab coffee, talk about our weeks, share stories about healing and growth. He never once pushed for more than friendship, never once tried to fill the space Derek had left. He just existed as a steady presence, proof that men could respect boundaries and value women as whole human beings. 6 months after the coffee shop confrontation, I ran into Derek at a community event. We both froze, awkward and uncertain. "Hey," he said finally. "Hey, you look good." "Thanks. So, do you—" We stood there, two people who'd built something that was never real to begin with. "I'm sorry," he said. "For real this time. Not because I got caught, not because I'm trying to manage my image. I'm genuinely sorry for what I put you through." "Thank you for saying that. Are you doing okay?" "Yeah, I am." "Really?" He nodded, looked like he wanted to say more, but didn't. We went our separate ways. I don't know if Derek truly changed. I don't know if therapy helped him understand why he did what he did, or if he just learned better ways to hide it. That's not my responsibility anymore. What I do know is this: I'm stronger for having walked through that fire. I'm wiser for having seen the truth. I'm better for having demanded accountability. A year after everything went down, I was sitting in my mama's kitchen, helping her prep for Sunday dinner, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Memories of those first loyalty test messages, still fresh enough to make me cautious. But something made me pick up. "Hello. Simone, this is Jasmine. Jasmine Porter. I hope it's okay that I'm calling." I sat down slowly at the kitchen table. "Jasmine, from Derek's past. Yeah, Keisha gave me your number. Said you probably wouldn't mind talking." "Of course. What's up?" "I just wanted to thank you for what you did, for standing up to him and making him face what he'd done." "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do. Simone, I spent years thinking I was the problem, thinking I'd failed somehow, that I hadn't been good enough, that I'd done something wrong to make him end things. I went through relationship after relationship, wondering what was wrong with me. And then Keisha's blog post went viral, and I saw the patterns described there, and suddenly everything made sense." Her voice broke slightly. "I reached out to Derek last month, asked him directly if he'd tested me, and he admitted it, apologized, said he was getting help, all of that. But more than his apology, what helped was knowing I wasn't crazy, knowing it wasn't my fault." "I'm so glad," I said softly. "Me too. And I wanted you to know that what you did mattered, not just for you, but for all of us. You gave us back something we'd lost. After we hung up, I sat there with tears in my eyes. Mama put a hand on my shoulder. You did good, baby girl. I just wanted to stop him from hurting anyone else. You did more than that. You gave those women their truth back. That's powerful medicine. Before we get to the end, if this story touched you, if you've been through something similar, drop a comment. Let other people know they're not alone. And make sure you're subscribed, because I've got more stories like this coming. The calls and messages kept coming over the next few months. Women from Derek's past, reaching out to share their stories, to say thank you, to ask how I'd found the strength to confront him. Each conversation was a reminder of why it had all been worth it. But the most unexpected call came from Isaiah on a random Tuesday evening. Hey, can we talk? In person? Sure. Everything okay? Yeah, just something I need to say. We met at our usual coffee shop, the same place where we'd had that first honest conversation over a year ago. Isaiah looked nervous when I sat down, which was unusual for him. What's going on? I asked. He took a breath. I need to be completely honest with you about something, about why I really warned you about Derek. My stomach tightened. Okay, when I said I cared about you, that I'd been watching Derek date you and thinking you deserved better, all of that was true, but there was more to it than just wanting to do the right thing. He met my eyes. I fell in love with you, Simone. Not during all this, but before. Maybe even from that first moment at the fundraiser when I saw you laugh at whatever Derek said. And when he started dating you, I told myself I was happy for him, that finally he'd found someone good enough to make him want to change. But then when he started planning your test, I realized I couldn't just stand by anymore. Not for you, because watching him manipulate and test you felt like watching him destroy something precious, something I cared about. He held up a hand before I could speak. I'm not telling you this because I expect anything from you. I'm not trying to make a move or complicate your life. I'm telling you because our friendship means everything to me, and I couldn't build it on a partial truth. You deserve to know all of it, and if you need space from me after this, I understand. I sat with his words for a long moment. When you warned me about Derek, I said slowly, when you told me about all the other women, was any of that influenced by your feelings for me? No. I would have done the same thing regardless. He needed to be stopped. But would I have found the courage to finally act if it had been a woman I didn't care about? I don't know. Maybe not as quickly. That's honest. It's all I have to give you. I looked at this man across the table, this man who'd risked a lifelong friendship to tell me the truth, who'd helped me and the other women seek accountability, who'd never once pushed for anything more than friendship, even when opportunities arose. I appreciate you telling me, I said. And no, I don't need space from you. Relief flooded his face. Thank you, but I need you to understand something. I'm not ready for a relationship. Maybe not for a long time. What Derek did, it damaged my ability to trust in ways I'm still working through. I know, and I'm not asking for that. I'm asking to keep being your friend. That's all. Then that's what we'll be. He smiled, genuine and warm. That's more than enough. 2 years after the coffee shop confrontation, I was in a completely different place. I'd been promoted at work, leading my own team. I'd bought a small house in East Point, not far from Mama. I built a life that was mine, shaped by my choices, free from manipulation or control. I'd also started seeing someone new. His name was Marcus, and yes, I know, not a unique name, but it was his, and it suited him. We'd met through mutual friends, taken things slowly, built trust brick by brick. He knew my story, all of it. I'd been upfront from the beginning about what I'd been through, what I needed, what my boundaries were. I want you to know, I told him on our 5th date, I might never fully trust anyone the way I did before Derek. That damage is real, and I'm still healing from it. That's okay, Marcus said simply. Trust isn't something you're supposed to just give away anyway. It's something earned every day through consistent actions. I'm not in a rush. That's when I knew he might be someone worth trying with. Isaiah and I stayed friends. Good friends. He started dating someone himself, a woman named Angela who worked in education, smart and kind with a laugh that could light up a room. We all hung out sometimes, the four of us building something new and healthy. One evening, Marcus and I were at my house, cooking dinner together, when my phone rang. Derek. I stared at the name on the screen for a long moment. You okay? Marcus asked. Yeah, it's just, Derek. Your ex. Yeah. You going to answer? I don't know. Marcus squeezed my hand. Whatever you decide, I'm right here. I answered. Hello, Simone. Hey, I hope I'm not interrupting anything. What do you need, Derek? I just wanted to call and tell you something. I've been in therapy for 2 years now. Real therapy, working through the issues that made me do what I did. And my therapist suggested I reach out to the people I'd hurt, not to ask for forgiveness necessarily, but to acknowledge the harm I caused and to let them know I'm actively working to be different. Okay, I destroyed what we had. I destroyed what I had with every woman I've ever dated. And I did it because I was so afraid of being hurt that I hurt everyone first. I see that now. I understand it now. And I'm genuinely, truly sorry for all of it. I leaned against my kitchen counter, Marcus's steady presence nearby. I appreciate you saying that. Derek, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I forgive myself yet. But I wanted you to know that what you did confronting me, holding me accountable, it was the wake-up call I needed. You probably saved my life. That wasn't my responsibility. No, it wasn't. But you did it anyway. And I'm grateful. We talked for a few more minutes. It was civil, honest, tinged with sadness for what had been lost, but also acknowledgement of what had been gained. Hard truths, painful growth, necessary change. When I hung up, Marcus pulled me into a hug. How do you feel? I don't know. Sad. Relieved? Both. That makes sense. Do you ever worry I'll test you? I asked suddenly. Do the same things to you that Derek did to me? Marcus pulled back to look at me. No, because you're not Derek. You know what that kind of manipulation does to people. You'd never inflict that on someone else. How can you be sure? Because I pay attention. I watch how you treat people, how you handle conflict, how you talk about your past. You're not him, Simone. You're the woman who stood up to him. 3 years after everything started, I was asked to speak at a women's empowerment event in Atlanta. They wanted me to tell my story, the loyalty test, the confrontation, the accountability, all of it. I almost said no. The whole experience was still raw in places, still painful to revisit. But then I thought about Jasmine's phone call, about all the other women who'd reached out to say thank you, to share their own stories, to tell me I'd helped them recognize patterns in their own relationships. So I said yes. The day of the event, I stood backstage, nervous energy buzzing through me. Mama was in the audience. Keisha had flown in from Charlotte. Isaiah and Angela were there. Marcus was sitting front row, steady and supportive. When they called my name, I walked onto that stage, looked out at hundreds of women's faces, and told them everything. I told them about the messages, the test, the journal entries. I told them about confronting Derek, about building accountability with the other women he'd hurt. I told them about the healing process, about learning to trust again, about finding my strength in the wreckage. The test didn't reveal my loyalty. I said, reaching my closing line, it revealed his character, and the man who truly loved and respected me. But then I kept going, adding something I hadn't planned. Here's what I learned through all of this. Loyalty isn't about passing tests or proving yourself worthy. Real loyalty exists in relationships where both people trust each other enough that testing isn't necessary. Real love doesn't demand proof. It offers grace. Real respect doesn't require surveillance. It trusts in the integrity of the other person. I paused, letting that sink in. If someone tests your loyalty, they're telling you they don't trust you. And a relationship without trust isn't a relationship at all. It's a cage. Don't let anyone make you live in a cage. The applause was thunderous. Afterward, women lined up to talk to me, to share their stories, to thank me for speaking truth they'd needed to hear. One woman, probably in her early 20s, waited until everyone else had gone before approaching. "Thank you," she said quietly. "My boyfriend's been doing things that feel like tests. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid, but hearing your story, I realize I'm not. I deserve better." "Yes," I told her firmly. "You do." She left with her shoulders straighter, her head higher. That's when I knew it had all been worth it. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this entire story. If it resonated with you, if it helped you recognize patterns in your own life, if it gave you courage to demand better, then please hit that like button and subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you deserve relationships built on trust, not tests. You deserve love that doesn't need proof. You deserve respect that's freely given, not earned through hoops and trials. Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. What part of this story hit hardest for you? What would you have done differently? I read every single comment. Until next time, remember your worth. Remember your strength. And never, ever let anyone make you prove your loyalty when you should simply be loved. I'm Simone, and this was my story. 5 years later, I still think about everything that happened. Not with pain anymore, but with understanding. Derek taught me what I won't accept. Isaiah showed me that good men exist. Marcus proved that healthy love is possible. But most importantly, I taught myself that I'm strong enough to demand better. The other women and I still keep in touch. We've built a network, a community of people who understand what it's like to heal from manipulation and control. We support each other, celebrate victories, offer comfort during struggles. Keisha got married last year. Her husband is kind and steady, nothing like Derek. Brianna started a nonprofit focused on helping women recognize and escape toxic relationships. Monique wrote a book about psychological manipulation in dating. It became a bestseller. And me, I'm living my life on my terms with people who value me for who I am, not who they want to mold me into being. I'm at peace. Sometimes late at night, when Marcus is asleep beside me, and I'm lying in the dark thinking, I wonder where Derek is now. If he really changed, if he's capable of having a healthy relationship, or if the patterns run too deep. But mostly, I don't think about him at all anymore. Because this isn't his story. It's mine. It's the story of how I reclaimed my truth, demanded accountability, and refused to accept anything less than genuine respect. It's the story of how the test didn't reveal my loyalty. It revealed his character and the man who truly loved and respected me. And in the end, that made all the difference.